It seems that Boris has had another one of his great enthusiasms. We're told he is extremely gung-ho. Indeed, he's been through an evangelical conversion to nuclear power. Let's just remind ourselves, we've run down our nuclear power stations. Most are being decommissioned or have been decommissioned by 2030. Literally, there'll be 1 or 2 nuclear power stations left in production. Nuclear power, which was giving us 25% of our electricity, is now giving us about 17% of our electricity, and that number is declining pretty much every year. Boris Johnson yesterday had a big meeting with major nuclear power companies, both British, American, not just nuclear power companies, but construction companies as well. We're told that he wants to loosen up planning regulations to stop objections to nuclear power stations being built. Are we about to enter a new nuclear age? Well, joining me is Dr. Jonathan Cobb, Senior Communication Manager at the World Nuclear Association. Now, I'm guessing that you've been through years after Fukushima of hearing very bad things said about nuclear power, nuclear waste, nuclear risk. Is this a short-term burst of enthusiasm for the Prime Minister, or do you think this is a genuine strategic change of direction?
I think it is a new momentum. So there has been support for nuclear energy in the UK for a long time. UK has been using nuclear energy for more than 60 years. And as you said, it used to get a quarter of its power, electricity, from nuclear energy. So there has been this support, but there has not been the momentum to really start a major amount of investment in new reactors. And as you've pointed out, because the reactors that we do have, most of them are beginning to be shut down now, and all bar one of the current ones will be shut down by 2030. There is a need to start that process of rebuild. We've got 2 reactors under construction at the moment at Hinkley Point. There are proposals for other. And hopefully this new initiative, this kickstart, will kick some of those new projects into starting off.
But Hinkley Point is the old-style sort of huge monstrosity. We're told that in America they are actually developing, beginning to build smaller-scale nuclear plants. I'm saying this because can the industry carry public opinion with it? For example, even though, of course, it doesn't emit carbon dioxide, the Greens, for example, have been completely opposed to nuclear energy.
Yeah, I think some of the Green parties are opposed and they have that position, but they're not the mainstream view. And there are Green parties now in some other countries which are changing their position. So the Green Party in Finland, for example, is changing its position on this. They're seeing, for their perspective, they want to move to net zero and they don't want to put all their eggs in one renewable basket. They're looking at all the options. So if that is your driver for the way you want energy mixes to go, they're reconsidering their position. But I think there is greater support. And in the UK, I think there's support because of the amount of jobs that these new build projects are providing.
Yes.
Tens of thousands of jobs are being provided by Hinkley Point. Many more will be provided if these new projects came forward. And the UK's strategy is not just the existing reactors, which do a really good job. They provide a large amount of power all in one go, so they've got their place. But there's also a commitment to develop what's called small modular reactors as well. So giving both options, the large and small technology, for reactors in the future.
Now, critics will say, of course, that it's a very expensive form of energy and that decommissioning at end of life is a very, very lengthy process. But I'm just wondering about something, because Boris Johnson has been saying we should become the Saudi Arabia of wind. Now he's saying we're going to go gung-ho for nuclear. But the two don't work together, do they? It's gas that provides the backup for wind energy when the turbines aren't blowing, whereas nuclear power is a constant. So if we're going to go for nuclear on this scale, presumably we don't need to build any more wind turbines.
Well, so some of the figures that have been mentioned, I think in your report, you talked about going back to 25% generation from nuclear. So there is going to need to be something else. Now, at the moment, nuclear tends to operate in the base load. It is always on because that is the most cost-effective way of running these plants. They run 24/7, whatever the weather, and they run at a very high capacity factor.
Yeah.
But if you do want to have a mix that slowly phases out gas, especially these new technologies, especially the SMRs, these new designs, they can be run in a way to help balance the energy mix, to help compensate for variation, not only in production from variable renewables, but also the variations in demand there is as people use more electricity during the day. So there are these technologies coming through with nuclear reactors that will have this new flexibility.
Going to be very interesting indeed. Jonathan Cobb, thank you for joining us here on GB News this evening.